Ever since I was 6 years old, I told everyone that my dream is to become a cartoonist. So I had my goal very early on. But when I actually became a professional artist, it was pretty late. I was 27 when my first artwork was published. Since my drawings are based on what I had previously seen, it is a reflection of the depth of my knowledge. After looking at my drawing, it'd be easy for you to know who I am, what I know, what I am interested in, and how I feel. I'm not hiding anything because there isn't anything that's worth hiding.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Do Tutorials. This video is a tribute to Master Kim Jung Gi, and I really wanted to do this video because since the last few days that he had passed on, I've been continually watching his art. I mean, here was a man who was loved and respected by everyone in the art community. And I wanted to talk about him and also celebrate his life and his works. Now, according to iamag.co, Master Kim Jung Gi, this is all what's written. So, Master Kim Jung Gi, a Korean artist born in 1975 in Goyang-si in the province of Gyeonggi-do. This was where he was born. And at 19 he entered the fine arts school and majored in art and design. For 3 years, he studied on the west coast at the Dongyui University of Busan, which is famous for its technical courses. Funny, KJG's Kim Jung Gi's first publication was published in the manhwa Young Jump. Then came several short stories and a few exhibitions before Kim Jung Gi started to teach manhwa at universities and private schools. He's traveling the world to meet his fans and get inspiration. And Kim Jung Gi died suddenly at aged 47 on October 5th, 2022. Now this came as a big shock, and I remember waking up and there were posts everywhere, and it was heartbreaking. I just couldn't believe it. This was scary. Now, it was in sometime back in the August of 2015 that I shifted to Delhi. And at the time, I was really into this pen and ink thing. I remember going to this old bookstore in Purani Delhi and getting this amazing book where different kinds of cross-hatching techniques were discussed and explained with. For example, there were masters. The works were all divided by how masters have been using the pen and ink techniques. And at the time I was really obsessing over the works of Aaron Hockey and Richie Beckett back then. Now both of these guys are just phenomenal, amazing artists, and you absolutely have to check out their works. They have done works for, I think Richie Beckett has done works for Metallica, some of his posters, and even Foo Fighters, I don't remember exactly. But I was completely in that zone, I wanted to do a lot of pen and ink. The amount of attention to details these guys have is just mind-boggling, phenomenal. Also, pen and ink requires a lot of conviction. I guess because in a traditional medium, you can't really have the undo option like we have in digital, and so you need to be absolutely sure of what you are about to do. Yeah, so at the time I was taking commissions, and it was all people who were liking my stuff on Instagram. I remember I was putting a lot of my work out there on Instagram, and I was taking commissions based on that. People are giving me commissions like, maybe you can draw something for me. And a friend of mine was having his hotel renovated, and he asked me to do a piece in pen and ink, and it took me almost like 4 to 5 months. And this piece was based on Jatayu, on Ramayana, on the epic Ramayana. And so I was completely obsessed with pen and ink. And it was around this time that I came across the work of Master Kim Jung Gi. And this piece was from his sketchbook, 2011 sketchbook. And the first time I saw his work, I was shocked and terrified. That was because there was so much happening in his work. These sketches were insane. I had never seen anything like this. And I was just blown away. And at the time I was limiting myself to just watching and learning from a particular set of artists. And I was young back then, and I had this sort of like a tunnel vision. I just wanted to get really good at just one thing. And at the time I thought I had found my calling, that was pen and ink, because I was really enjoying that determination, dedication that it required, the stippling and cross hatching and all those things. I was young back then. What a fool. So yeah, when I came across Master Kim Jung Gi's work, it sort of like opened up this whole different world to me. And you know what? For the first time in a really, really long time, I actually stared at his art, and it sort of demanded my attention. I had to look at it. There were cats wearing masks, and there were so many things. Like, if we take a look at his art, there's so much story happening. And then later, I remember taking out my pen and trying to imitate some of his drawings. And what came out was this huge realization that how easy he made his sketches seemed. His work seemed, it looked like this was easy, this was something anyone could do. How effortless he made it seem. But in terms of fundamentals and storytelling and his sense of humor too, there was so much happening. So I watched a lot of his videos on YouTube, and it was just insane. There were videos of his where he was just starting off with nothing on a blank piece of paper with just his brush pen. And man, oh man, I was crushing on those pens. Me and almost everyone in the comment section. And Master Kim never spoke in English. He always had like a translator, but I could tell he was amused and annoyed at the same time at this question: what pen do you use? Almost as if the pen or the tool would make you a good artist. And I was guilty too. I mean, instead of trying to learn the fundamentals and just sit in a place and draw in my notebook, I was browsing through shops in Lajpat Nagar and Purani Delhi, looking for a brush pen. I got my hands on Kuretake brush pen. I don't know how we pronounce that. And there were also some Indian brush pens, and they were all very good. I still have them. And there was this Pentel brush pen also I got. But what was really missing was this Pentel pocket brush pen that he had, and it seemed so sexy. I wanted to have that pen. And I must have spent a fortune on pens and different kinds of ink and sketchbooks. But yeah, I was going nowhere as an artist. And at the time, uh, my goal of being able to draw like him was met with a lot of failure negativity on my part. I mean, when I look back at the sketches I had made, maybe just an hour later, it almost looked disgusting. There was hardly any patience and discipline, and there was no work being put. And I was expecting things to just work out, just, wing it. And I remember getting some of his books online, some PDFs, and having beer and scrolling through them. And then at some point, I don't know when, I sort of gave up on the whole idea. Gave up on the idea of trying to sketch like him. I got myself an iPad and I got this Procreate. It's a beautiful app. And I shifted towards digital painting. Master Kim Jung Gi's work often showed up in my Instagram feed, and also sometime in Twitter. And me and some of my other artist friends, when we met, we discussed about clients, and also him. He never went unmentioned. There was always a segment of time that we dedicated to just showing each other the work and just being mesmerized by his craft. Now, the most astounding thing about Master Kim Jung Gi's work was him not using references. I mean, he did have references in his head. He always said to observe things, maybe learn just one thing a day. This was a quote I came across, and he wanted the artist to learn just one thing a day, and it would actually store information in your head. And when you were to draw, you could always think in terms of squares. And he had this photographic memory, I guess, and he just understood stuff, how it happened, and then he was able to replicate them on paper. And this completely astounded the viewers, including me. Of course, he would draw this huge mega scenes, and there was story in every small part that he drew. And he wasn't drawing he was thinking. We could see it in his art. He was taking things really slow. He was talking and interacting with people, and he did some huge pieces. And he was drawing almost any and everything. There were absolutely no limits to his imagination. The animals, which were just astounding. These beautiful sketches of women. He loved drawing bikes, I guess, and mechanical stuff, a lot of mecha stuff, and soldiers, I guess, a lot of military. And then there was this book, Omphalos, and it had a lot of women and a lot of sex and nudity, and it was just masterful. It was just beautiful. I mean, all of his works. Some of his works were really dark. If you take a look at them, some of his works are actually very dark, and they have even slightly darker undertones. And some of his works are it'll just make you laugh. It'll just bring a small smile to your face. And he had this power of driving emotions. And all of his works are just beautiful. The penmanship is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, he has done a lot of work. He has filled sketchbook upon sketchbooks, and he has been drawing for so long and non-stop. He was just true master. He was just a true master. But yeah, all this time I have been watching his works and just admiring the sheer genius of this man. He was someone who was loved, and he was someone who loved to draw, and his love showed in his work. And this here was a living proof that if you genuinely loved what you did, then the world would admire your passion. The world would love that you loved something so dedicatedly. I mean, Master Kim Jung Gi's his works are phenomenal, and he lived a wonderful life. He traveled the world, met fellow art enthusiasts and artists. He shared his art and ideals around and was just a wonderful person. From all his videos I've seen, he had a wonderful sense of humor. And I think I heard somewhere in some other tribute videos that I was just checking out on YouTube that he was diabetic. But otherwise, I think he was perfectly healthy and was just a wonderful person to hang out with. And this whole thing came as a shock because I really wanted to, at some point in my life, I wanted to maybe meet him and ask him a couple of questions. And I remember coming up with this situations in my head wherein it was my time. I was among the audience, and Master Kim Jung Gi was up on stage, and it was my time to question him. I had my hand raised, and finally he decided, like, okay, this bearded guy, let's give him a chance. And then I had the mic, and I asked him, and this is just a situation, like I said, Master, what pen would you advise a beginner to get better at art? And this would go down two ways. One being that the master would go, ugh, and the mic would be snatched and everyone would be booing at me, and I would be shamed. And the friend I had told to like video record would be laughing, and just downhill from there. And there was this another scenario wherein the master would burst out laughing, and then he would call me up on stage, and we would become like best friends. Like, he would call me backstage and all those things, like this weird fantasy. Anyway, that's just me and me being stupid. Also, this tragic event kind of makes me want to become a better person and love everyone that is near to me. It makes me want to be more forgiving, less critical of others and myself, and open up my heart even more. The impermanence of life and the fact that you never know when things may end is both terrifying and also sort of makes me grateful for the life I have and also for everyone I have. Now, I also wanted to do in this video, I also wanted to add a segment wherein I was drawing and painting this piece by him called Carp Night, because this has always been one of my favorite, and I must have sketched it like a lot. I still can't get it right, the perspective and all the details. And also because I have tried sketching, and I was also just sketching it a couple of hours back before making this video. And I'm planning to record this in my next video, the whole process. I'll be drawing, I'll be sketching, and I'll also be painting it. Digitally, of course, with the undo function on. So yeah, stick around, and all my prayers and love to Master Kim Jung Gi and his family and friends. And if you've been watching this video, thank you for taking the time, and thank you for watching. Do show your support by liking, sharing and subscribing. This is the Dude Ross signing off.